Good morning. Happy Tea Tuesday. It's Tuesday again. Bigelow Balance Cinnamon and Blackberry Herbal Tea. Very good. So I thought I'd change it up a little bit. But I'm going to do my coffee too. This is for this afternoon. And I just make this in the morning and just let it steep all day long on my little heater. Oops, hard to do with one hand. So that will be for this afternoon. So today is day 98. So it's almost time to start my kitchen project, but I think I'll give it a few days and do a little bit in the yard first. Although today it's looking pretty gloomy. I think it's going to rain. But anyway, we'll see. It could clear up this afternoon. You never know around here. Our weather is very iffy, up and down, all over the place, all the time. So I'm glad I pretty much got my living room accomplished, except for the little sofa, and I'll work on that when I can. But for now, I think the garden has to take precedence, so at least I can get my things planted. You can plant things like kale. Yeah, I'm in zone 6, and you can plant things like kale and lettuces and peas. You can put your onions in. You might want to protect them if there is another frost, but they'll do okay. So a lot of things won't even come up until the soil reaches a certain temperature. But if you put the seeds in, the seeds will just lay dormant. I've even had tomatoes that I've just stuck in the ground because they were overripe, and they'll come up the following spring. At least the strong ones do. And I call those my volunteers, and those are the ones that actually produce the best. So, I don't know, today it's not looking like I want to go out there, but you never know, I might. So anyway, I'll be back in a little while with my breakfast, day 98. Let's make some breakfast, day 98. Let's see what we have going here. Well, yesterday I was looking through my freezer and I found this little thing of guacamole, so I'm going to eat that this morning. It was frozen, and I think I will eat that with one of these rolls. Because I do have tomato. So I'm going to have that. And I need to keep eating my yogurt. So I'll have that. And of course more grapes. All right. Simple breakfast today. Now later today I do want to eat up this rye bread, but I'll be back later and figure out what's for dinner. So okay, I will meet you at the stove. What I do with these rolls, I just cut them, and they're hard rolls, but a lot of times I don't want them too hard. So what I do with these rolls is I just either stick it in my toaster oven or in my air fryer. I put it on the bake temperature, and I heat them up for about 4 minutes, and that seems to be just right. It heats the roll, makes this a little bit crunchy, but I have a lot of rolls left, so I don't need bread. I'm probably not going to make any bread until the rolls are gone because I don't want to waste these, because they're $4 and something for a dozen, which isn't terrible, but it's not real cheap either. So I want to use up all the rolls that I can. And then I either have salsa that I can put on here, or I have fresh tomatoes that I can also put on here. So I'm going to heat this up and then I'll be back. Okay, so this morning I made some berry yogurt instead of just the plain vanilla. I did that with my chia seed freezer jam, and I still sprinkled the cinnamon sugar on top. And then I have my roll with some guacamole and tomato. Now it's not the prettiest guacamole, but it's still perfectly edible. Depending on how you freeze it, you have to make sure it's really airtight and it'll stay greener instead of turning brown. But anyway, here is breakfast, day 98. And I wanted to ask you guys, are you guys getting bored with this series? I plan on continuing to cook my freezer and pantry for as long as I need to, but I just want to share this information with you to show you how little food you need to have, and I think we all overbuy with a lot of things. Now, I'm not talking about having a prepper stash. I think that is a very necessary thing, but I'm talking about our working food, what we keep in our refrigerator and our freezer. And a lot of times it just goes bad, we forget about it, it gets stuck at the back and somewhere in there. And I don't know, at least I'm finding this for me, that it's really teaching me how much food to actually buy. So anyway, let me know in the comments below if you're thinking, oh, okay, Ellen, that's enough. I'm approaching 100 days. I will do 100 days for sure, and then we'll see after that. I mean, I'm enjoying doing this, and it keeps me focused on my goal. So, all right, I'll be back later, and either we'll chat or I'll be back later for dinner. I had two pretty ripe bananas. I don't want to make muffins or bread, so I'm going to make some banana ice cream. And here I have two, they're smallish bananas. I have a cup of my homemade yogurt. I have some non-refined coconut oil. I got that at Aldi's. I have some cinnamon and some vanilla. And I'm just going to make some ice cream. So I have here too a sweetener. This is erythritol. So, but you can use sugar, whatever sweetener you want. Now, don't forget the bananas are sweet, but ice cream is sweet. So I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of this. The dogs are on patrol again this morning. They're my security system. So I think a couple of tablespoons of that is enough. And I believe this is like 1-on-1 with sugar, but check that out just in case. And I'm going to add some cinnamon to taste. And a splash of vanilla, about a teaspoon. And I'm going to add coconut oil. Now the reason I want to add the coconut oil, it'll keep it from freezing into a block, and also it helps with the mouthfeel. And coconut oil is healthy, so I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of coconut oil. And if you don't like the taste of coconut, then use the unrefined. But I don't mind it. I think it's nice complementary to the rest of the things in the ice cream. So I'm going to put that in. And then I'm going to add my cup of my oat soy yogurt, because I do want to start using this up so I can make a fresh batch. Now, the original recipe calls for full-fat coconut milk, but I want to make this a yogurt. And you can also add strawberries to this, whatever you want. But I think I'm going to, once this is blended up, I think I'm going to add some of my berry jam and just swirl it in before I freeze it. I'm going to see how that works. Alright, now I'm just going to blend this up in the blender, and I'll be back in a minute because it's loud. Alright, so this is what it looks like when it's all blended up. And this serves 4. So make it as sweet as you want. If you don't want it too sweet, then don't put as much sweetener in. So it's just another thing to do with leftover bananas, and I know banana ice cream is nothing new, but I wanted to combine it with the yogurt so nothing gets wasted in my kitchen. So we'll see how it turns out when it's frozen. And I didn't want to make too much. I don't even eat ice cream in the winter time. I only eat it when the weather starts to warm up. So this doesn't make a ton of ice cream, but that's plenty for me for at least a couple servings. So I'm just going, I don't know if this will work, but I'm just going to add a little bit of my jam to this and swirl it around. It's probably all going to fall to the bottom, but that's all right. So you can always add some, strawberry syrup to this, some frozen bananas and strawberries. You can add all kinds of things to this. So most of this jam has sunk to the bottom. You can wait a little bit until it's half frozen and do this, but I don't want to bother with that. So anyway, there we go, some banana yogurt ice cream, and hopefully it'll be good. I'm going to pop this in the freezer now, and there's a little bit of berry there, and see how it freezes up. Okay, we'll look at this later on this evening and see if we have yay or nay. So I've been thinking, I've been doing this now for 3 months, and for those of you that are new here, I'm cooking down my freezer because I have another stocked freezer at my mom's house, and my freezer in the garage finally died after 43 years, and I'm trying to get by on just having one freezer because I'm one person and I can only eat so much. But what I'm thinking is, after doing this for 3 months and cooking down the freezer and my working pantry, now I also keep a stash that is a different animal altogether. I think I'm going to cut back on my grocery budget because the last few months, every 4 to 6 weeks, I do a produce haul. And if there's any little things for the freezer that I think I'll need, like if I used up all the broccoli, I might buy more of that, or, you know, just those sorts of things. But very, very little freezer food. But I do like to have fresh produce available. And I try to make that stretch as long as I can. Now with gardening with gardening season coming up, I'll probably be eating things out of my garden, and I won't need that much in the way of produce. But I do buy fresh produce every 4 to 6 weeks. It's been averaging more like 6 weeks instead of 4, because that's how long it takes me to eat it down. And I don't buy huge quantities of produce. I just buy normally packed produce, which is like 3 heads of romaine and a couple, 1 or 2 stalks of celery, depending on what kind I get. Maybe a 3-pound bag of carrots, or, you know, just not tons and tons of veggies. And once in a while, I do buy grapes most of the time, and I bought apples and oranges, and I do buy some bananas, but not a ton of produce. So, but I'm finding it's taking me forever to eat that down too. So I'm thinking that I can probably reduce my produce allowance or shopping by $25 anyway. I allow myself $100 to $125 every 4 to 6 weeks. And like I said, it's been going 6 weeks. So I'm going to try and just keep it to $75 and see how I do with that. I'm trying to figure what a reasonable amount of food is for me. I'm not a huge eater. You know, if you're a bigger eater than I am, it'll probably cost you more. But I'm trying to stretch things as far as I can. Whether that means making more soups because I have a lot of leftover veggies, or eating more salads for the same reason. I'm trying to make my own yogurts, my own bread, although I do buy bread, but even that has been lasting me for 3 or 4 weeks. So I'm still in the process of figuring out what a good amount of food for me to buy. Now I do buy eggs and I do buy cheese. And usually about 18 eggs will last me for the 6 weeks. Because if I don't have enough eggs, I use aquafaba, or I make a flax egg if I want to make something. So I substitute a lot of vegetarian things for dairy. So I'm going to give that a try and see if that's enough. If not, then I'll just add the $25 back in and make another trip to the store. I mean, there's nothing saying that I can't do that. But I'm trying to get a handle on the food waste, which I don't have much of, but I can always do better. So we'll see how that goes. A friend of mine here on YouTube, her channel is called Creative Lori, and she shops a lot for her dad and herself, and she spends only $25 a month on food, which is really great. You know, she picks up bargains at the different outlets and things around her area. I believe she's in California, but I'm not sure. But anyway, go check out her channel. She has a lot of great ideas and ways to use up food. So I just wanted to come on and kind of talk about my food budget a little bit and see how I can improve on that. And especially in these times where everybody's kind of panicking a little bit that there won't be enough food, I think it's a prudent thing to do to see what you can get by on. And I think, in my opinion, I certainly don't eat like a pauper. I don't eat like a poor person. You know, and if you're someone that really doesn't have money for food, please go to your local food banks. They're all over the place now. There's no reason for anybody to go hungry. Look up different channels on YouTube of how to stretch your food. All those things are available, and hopefully you have access to the internet. If not, go to the library. Explore cookbooks that might come up with recipes that you wouldn't think of. If you can't afford to buy a plant-based cookbook, go to your library and check them out and see what recipes you can come up with these cookbooks. And what I like to do, if I don't want to buy a whole cookbook, I'll just take a picture of the recipe on my cell phone. Then I can put it on my computer, and if you have a printer, you can print it off and make yourself a DIY cookbook. I have several of those with plant-based recipes that I've tried over the years that I enjoy. But those are some of the ways you can have access to free recipes. There are tons and tons of websites with free recipes. There's websites where you can plug in your ingredients and they'll give you suggestions for things you can make with what you have. So we really, it's almost necessary that we have to use up every bit of the food that we have in order to get by these days. So, all right, that's all I wanted to talk about a little bit. Stretching your food dollar, it can be done. You may not be able to eat a steak every day, but you can substitute something else. Maybe a nicely seasoned burger or some nicely seasoned plant-based meat. Substitutions are great. Having a big stock of spices is, I think, a big key to satisfying our taste buds. And spices, there's such a big plethora of spices out there. You can pick and choose, you can make your own blends, and then you don't have to keep doing the same spice blends over and over. All right, I will be back with dinner day 98. So let's see what's for dinner day 98. All right, I have to eat up this coleslaw. So I'm going to have some of that, and I have to eat up this rye bread, and it's big slices, so I'm going to have a slice of that. And then, let's see what's in the freezer. So I have an idea. I think I'm going to get out this Impossible Burger patty because I have a lot of onions. And I have the rye bread, and I have cheese. So I think I'm going to make a patty melt for dinner, day 98. So I'll meet you at the stove. Since it's Tea Tuesday, I'm going to drink my tea while I make my dinner. So, I don't know, I've said before, I don't like to cook late. So it's just about 3 o'clock, and I probably won't eat till 5 or 6, but I want to cook some onions up. I have some onions left. I gave my daughter a bunch of onions because what I bought was really too much for me, but that's what came in the package. So I have here a sweet onion, and I'm just going to save the onion peels. I put that in my soup stash in the freezer. And I'm not going to cook too much onion because I'm just going to make one sandwich. But I just save the top and the bottom, and then I make stock with it. Oh, hello. I don't think you want those onions. They're not good for dogs. Onions are not good for puppies. So I'm just going to drink my tea. Cheers. There you are. And that's blackberry and cinnamon, or was it blueberry and cinnamon? Well, one of the two. So I am just going to cook my onions in here, and then I'm going to have a patty melt. When I ate meat, I used to love patty melts. And so the next best thing now is the Impossible Burger for me, and I just make patty melts with that. So if you're wanting to save money on protein, you may want to think about learning how to make seitan. It's easy to make, and it's very high in protein. And I'll be making some of that in a day or two for some sandwiches, because right now I don't have any sandwich meat, but I'm trying to eat up what I already have in the refrigerator before I make more. And I'm trying to eat up my leftovers this week that are in the freezer. So I'm just going to cook these onions down for my sandwich, and I'm just going to use some of this plant butter. And there's a cookbook, Miyoko Shinner, I think is her name, I forget. But anyway, she has a pantry cookbook where you can make your own vegan butter, and I know they use coconut oil in those. And she has a lot of pantry staples in that cookbook. And then also a lot of, I forget his name too, Sky Michael Corey also makes a lot of his own pantry things, like vegetarian and vegan butters and all those sorts of things. So if you have any interest in saving money, because a lot of those things are readily available, especially if you do make your own seitan, you can make it with just regular flour. So you can follow along with me when I get around to making it, but it's really simple, and especially washing the flour. Washing the flour is very easy, and it really, really makes a good vegan protein. Now, I'm not vegan, I'm vegetarian, and there is a difference. Vegans don't eat anything from an animal. Vegetarians, on the other hand, will eat dairy, which I don't eat too much dairy, but I do eat cheese, and I eat eggs. So, but vegans don't eat any of that. Nothing from an animal. So there is a difference, and that's the biggest difference right there. But I think picking up a simple plant-based cookbook is a good idea, just to give you other options in case your store doesn't have what you want, or if they don't carry enough meat or whatever. There's a plant-based version to almost everything that you can eat from dairy or animal products. So I think it's just a good idea as an alternate source of food. And it's easier to stockpile these ingredients as opposed to filling your freezer with meat or other things, because it lasts longer. So just a thought. I love this marble rye from Giant Eagle. It's not cheap. It's $4 basically for a loaf of bread, but the bread is big, so usually one slice is enough for a sandwich, for a meal for me. But I get this at our local Giant Eagle, but it's really flavorful. I really like this. It's rye. So I washed the seed hulls off my sprouts, and I stuck them in here. And these are alfalfa sprouts, so they're kind of hard to separate, so I thought I would try storing them with a couple paper towels, because once you wash them they do stay kind of wet. So I'm going to stick these in the fridge and see if I can't keep these for a couple days. We'll see. So I'm going to add a little bit of this complete seasoning to my onions. Because I like that seasoning. It's very flavorful. Now I don't want to cook these onions too soft. Not for a burger. Okay. And then here is my thawed Impossible Burger, and I'm going to season this. And I get these at Mark's, and every couple months they'll mark them down to $2.99 or $3.99, which is doable. But if you get these regular price, they're kind of pricey. So, but you can make something similar with soy protein. Which is what this is a lot of. Alright, I'm going to call that good on the onions. They're just slightly browned. Okay, in goes my burger. And you cook this just like you would a regular burger. So I'm going to put a little bit of, I have some mesquite smoked sea salt, and I'm going to put some of that on there. Give it a barbecue-ish, a grill kind of flavor. And some pepper. And I'm just going to let that cook. So I'll be back when this is done. Now you don't want to overcook your burger, just like you wouldn't want to overcook your beef burger. But I'm going to put a couple of slices of cheddar on my bread here, and then I'm going to cook up this sandwich. Now I love sweet onions, and that's usually what I buy. I buy the sweet onions, or I buy the red onions. Those two are both my favorite. But I like any kind of onions, really. But, so I'm looking forward to eating this. I'm probably not even going to wait until dinner time, because this is making me very hungry. So this little onion was actually enough for something else too. I don't know, I'll figure out something to cook on there. And then I'm just going to let this toast up a little bit. And then I'm going to have some of my coleslaw, because that needs to be eaten too. And I didn't put onion in this coleslaw. I was a little too lazy to cut one up. But this coleslaw is still nice and fresh, and I made this like maybe 3 days ago. But it needs to be eaten. And coleslaw is great if you put it on tacos, or if you put it on pulled pork. It's tasty on that. And then I'm going to top it with some green onions. Okay, well, here is my dinner, day 98, my coleslaw, and my patty melt. So it looks good to me. So let me give this a try. I've already tasted the coleslaw. I know that's good. And my onions, my green onions, are starting to become anemic looking. So what I do then, I salvage what's left and I slice them up and I stick them in a baggie in the freezer. I'm going to cut this sandwich in half. I've been looking forward to this sandwich all day. All right. So there it is. Let's give it a try. That is so good. Really, really tasty. Adding a little bit of the smoked salt to your burger patty, whether it's meat or vegetarian meat, really gives it a good flavor. Just don't add too much and make it too salty. So it's only a little after 3, but I'm going to go ahead and enjoy this. And I'll probably just have a snack later, maybe some cheese and crackers, or peanut butter and jelly on crackers, something along those lines, maybe some pretzels and hummus. Those make good snacks. I still have salsa and chips. So all those are good snacks. All right, so happy Tea Tuesday to you. We already did one cheers, we'll do another. I'm going to go enjoy my patty melt. This would be good with French fries. If you're a meat eater and you like other inexpensive meal ideas, head on over to Rhoda Stone's channel. She's also trying to see if she wants to incorporate some vegetarian things into her hauls. She does a lot of food hauls on less money. So go check out her channel. All right, my friends, I want to wish you abundant blessings. I love you guys. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.